Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. I'm your host, Sarah Parker, and today, our voice that joins us from across the pond is returning guest Aram, also known as 4 weeks to the fucking beach. Actually, take the fucking out. How are you,
Depends.
my friend?
Depends on what you're doing on the beach. I am well, thank you. It's always good to see you. It's always good to chat with you. It's good that you're still continuing to be the voice of reason and under otherwise
Crazy.
weird landscape. It's just weird. It's every year that I stay in the fitness industry, which it means I'm going to be here forever, probably. I Nothing changes, nothing that works changes, but belief systems change on a minute to minute basis. And it's just really frustrating to watch the degradation of stress resilience and emotional regulation and the susceptibility to all the bullshit that is now just coming out in droves. And yeah, it's certainly more frustrating than it's ever been, but it's probably the fuel that I use for my fire every morning to get up and continue.
Yeah, I feel like you've framed that very well with what we're going to talk about today because, and this is the thing, I do mention this on the podcast. There's a reason why you're pulled into certain things on social media or certain belief systems and why they can change because we're constantly being the consumer is being targeted on pain points, right? That's often how people get the viral, reels and they get people coming on board as coaching clients. And it's, as we know, right? We're two small dots in the world, but it's content like this, like you're saying, and just keep showing up for people like ourselves because our missions align. Like if you don't follow Aram, have a look at his Instagram because you're one of the few people that I actually follow because you're actually calling out the things that I feel people need to see. And we've said this before, right? We're talking about maybe the boring stuff that people don't want to hear, but the baseline, Aram, the baseline of bodybuilding, fitness, enhancing your life, which is what we're trying to help people with, is to enhance your life. It's not actually that complicated, but in this world, it seems very complicated with everything there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not hard to see why the general population audience is confused on what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. It's not hard to see why the bodybuilding community is confused because again, there's old school, new school, health forward, not health forward, drug forward, not drug forward, and it's there's just so much out there because everybody now has a microphone, everybody has a podcast, everybody has content, everybody has an opinion. And their opinions, they very well may believe to be the thing that's appropriate for people. I mean, we all have biases. Lord knows I have my biases, but I've had to examine them several times over the last 15 years of my career to make sure that my biases are serving my audience and my clientele base. And I've had to reframe and rethink a lot of the things that I used to believe. And there's things even just in the last year that I've changed my mind about, even something as simple as like the concept of body recomposition. Um, I used to not that it's an impossible task or impossible feat. It is scientifically viable, but it's just so goddamn slow and it's so difficult to measure because fat loss is easier to see and measure in the short term
Mhm.
and more so in the long term, but even in the short term, like you can see fat come off somebody's body in as little as 10 to 15 days. You're not going to see muscle growth in 10 to 15 days visibly. You're not going to see muscle growth visibly for 6 to 12 months on some people, depending on what their status of muscle currently is. So the concept of body recomposition, while it is possible, it's like, well, cool. How are you going to actually measure if you're recompositioning your body? And most people would stand to benefit from just losing as much fat as they possibly can, starting from a blank canvas and then building up from there, because then you actually see the product and it's almost like you have a clay sculpture in front of you that's been unmolded and you get to finally mold it into looking how you want. But again, obviously it's going to be different from a bodybuilding standpoint versus a Gen Pop standpoint. Most Gen Pop people are walking around at, men are somewhere between 18 and 25% body fat. Most Gen Pop women are walking around from 28 to 40% body fat. And those people, while they have an admirable goal of looking like they lift or wanting to be stronger, and I'm never going to dissuade people from lifting weights, but let's solve the overarching problem, which is you are fatter than you want to be. You're not going to be able to see any of the muscular progress. You'll be able to feel things like strength going up and capability in the gym improving and probably some quality of life stuff happening. But let's be honest, nobody actually gives a shit about that stuff, unfortunately. They want the fucking visible result.
Yeah,
So if you want the visible result, then just lose as much fat as you possibly can in whatever time you have the tolerance for to take to a fat loss phase. And then start from scratch and be like, okay, cool. I have no glutes. I can build those. I have no biceps. I can build those. I can build anything. A human being can build anything they want, and they can choose very strategically on how to build certain parts of their body. And there is such thing as building one body part and not building another. Whereas fat loss is a global thing. Fat, you can't choose where you lose fat or how you lose fat or how fast it comes off, but it will happen if you use the right type of science and the right type of strategy. So like that's one massive thing that I've changed my mind about. And I've had my clients become very crystal clear about what we're doing in this first quarter. And I told them, I'm like, you have four choices. You have fat loss, you have muscle gain, you have performance enhancement, or you have refinement. What category do you want to be in? Because that's going to tell me exactly what plan we're going to take. These are the action steps you have to take to get to your goal. This is what we're going to measure. This is what we're going to track. And this is what we're going to pay attention to. And the other stuff, I don't give a shit about.
I like that. I like that clarity. That is the thing. It's like again, with this clarity and what you've just outlined there, with the framing of that, this is the goal. This is the phase we're in. It's like I feel like, you're buying the client into this is the phase we are in and this is what we're trying to do and this is why we're doing it. Because again, in this culture, it's like this sort of magpie syndrome of, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I
Yeah.
want to do this. And people aren't sticking to a phase or a clear goal. And sometimes the coaches buy into that, don't they? And it's, oh, we could try that. Oh, we could try. And people are just sort of being coached as, what are we actually doing here? And I've had so many people, reach out and go, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I couldn't think of anything worse as a coach for my clients to be like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Do you know what I mean?
Well, again, and it comes back to the varying messages that they see. And it's
Mm,
like, well, one coach says I should be reverse dieting, and this coach says that I shouldn't, and this coach says I should do cardio, and this coach says I shouldn't. While it's very hard to give people blanket advice because it's very individually specific, there are some absolutes that I think exist as a foundational baseline for self-care. And I think those absolutes are a majority of your consumption should be prepared and cooked by you.
mm,
A majority of your consumption should come from mostly, and I mean like mostly whole foods and fewer processed foods. Doesn't mean processed foods are bad or they should be completely avoided. It's just that shouldn't be the majority of your consumption. If you're eating mostly out of a box or a bag, then switch that ratio to 60/40 if you're not comfortable with making it 80/20 yet. But start somewhere. Everybody should be lifting weights at least 2 times a week. At least. Like 2 times a week will maintain whatever muscle you have. So at least you won't lose it. So if 2 times a week you're doing two full body strength training sessions a week with relatively high intensity and you're going to failure on most of your sets, you're going to at least keep muscle mass and you're not going to succumb to sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. And bone density should stay at least positive generally over time. You should be doing some type of cardiovascular work on top of just steps, unless you're wildly morbidly obese and steps are cardio for you. But for most people, steps are no longer cardio. It is not just general movement throughout the day. It's not cardiovascularly significant. So if you're not doing some type of cardio throughout the week, you're not getting the cardiovascular adaptations. You're not improving your health internally and you're doing yourself a disservice. I fell into this camp for 10 years of my life trying to be big as strong as possible and I neglected my internal health and I neglected my cardiovascular health and it suffered because of it. I think everybody should be doing some type of nighttime and morning time, not ritual, but at least have a plan. So like I have a relatively firm bedtime. I have a relatively consistent wake up times. That way at least I have a schedule that I can discernibly follow and be consistent with, that's all we're asking for. Like half the time, if I can just get an adult of mine to do that shit, they're like already monumentally feel better. Is that going to be enough for a bodybuilder to get on stage? Absolutely not. So there's going to have to be a lot of iterations and accelerations of those things, but those should be the bare absolute. I have the worst possible life circumstances, and I could still do that minimum.
Yeah, and I feel like that actually feeds into something I wanted to talk to you about with, in the space with, and again, people are coming to us to enhance their lifestyles aside from competition and bodybuilding endeavor, as it were. But it's bodybuilding principles, right? And we could look at that several different ways. But I do see it a lot where coaches are basically having a client come to them and say, I'd like to enhance my lifestyle, and suddenly they're getting them to do things that a competitive bodybuilder would do. And actually, there can be harm from that, Aaron, because someone just wants to learn a little bit about nutrition, not track to the nth degree and eat, at the same time every single. Yes, there's merit to these things, but you see this across the space. I'm sure you have it over there, where it's just like they're not mini bodybuilders, going to stage. This is someone that just wants to improve their lifestyle a bit, and it becomes this crazy thing. And I feel like then the client sort of doesn't want to let the coach down, and we're in this realm of, the psychology behind it when they just want to, enhance their life a little bit.
Well, it just comes back to also auditing your social media following and being careful about who it is that you're paying attention to. Like, I don't really follow bodybuilders.
Yeah.
There are some bodybuilding coaches that I like because I can learn physiology from them, but I don't follow bodybuilders because typically most bodybuilding content is for show. It's before and after pictures. It's here's my picture on stage. Here's me in the gym. It's very self-serving, to me, utterly useless fucking drivel content. Like I just don't consume it. I have plenty of bodybuilders that follow me. I don't follow them back because they teach me nothing. And I don't want to just sit there and look at tits and ass or fucking guys in bikinis. Like I just don't give a shit. And
Oh,
I don't want to watch you lift weights because I can do that properly myself. Nobody gives a shit about what hoodie you bought from Dark Sport. Nobody cares about what fucking backpack you're wearing to the gym. I don't care about any of that stuff. Now, the younger generation, I mean, I went to the Arnold this year, or was it last year? Yeah, 2025. It was the first time ever going to the Arnold Expo, and I was so appalled by the amount of people wanting to get Sam Sulek's autograph, like waiting in line for 3 hours. Who the fuck cares about Sam Sulek's name on a piece of paper and shaking his hand for 20 seconds and then being ushered off to somebody? Like, I didn't pay attention to those people when I was in my 20s. I looked at people like Arnold because I bought their encyclopedia because they had shit to teach me. I went on bodybuilding forums to learn from people about proper form and proper nutrition. I learned from guys that were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that were in the gym executing lifts so I can understand how to properly have mechanics and properly load and understand rest times. Now it's like these people are becoming celebrities and they have no leg to stand on to be celebrities. It's just because they have wide audiences. Half of them don't really know what the fuck they're talking. Like, oh yeah, like Sam actually surprisingly has half a brain in his head, which I don't even understand how that's possible. He's completely self-taught from what I understand. And kudos to him, but like, let's be very clear. Like, dude, you're not a celebrity. You're not a fitness professional. You're not a coach. You're just somebody who is big and lifts weights, and people look up to you for that. So if that's inspirational content to you and that helps you get out of bed every morning, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to follow it, but I'm not going to engage in it. It does nothing for me, but I also know better. I have discernment and I have experience. I'm going to go to accounts that are more aligned with who I am and what I want to do, which is I want to learn about the intricacies of people's relationships with food and how to control my emotions and how to control my stress and how to continue doing the boring, mundane things that after 26 years are truly boring and mundane, and I still have to find reasons to do them every day. So, if you're a 48-year-old mother of three who works two jobs and can barely fucking spend 40 minutes in a gym twice a week, and you're looking at 23-year-old fitness influencer women, why? Like, you're not going to be able to do what they do. Maybe if it's inspirational to you, sure, but I can't imagine that's very good for your body image or your own personal reflection of yourself. I think that the people just are being entertained on social media, and it certainly comes back to what your intention is, but I don't need to be entertained. I have a Netflix account, I have an Amazon Prime account. I can watch shows and movies until my fucking eyeballs come out of my head. I don't need to scroll on fucking TikTok and Instagram for entertainment.
It's certainly we're in this like echo chamber, and I'm the same as you. Funnily enough, I don't actually follow that many bodybuilders because I've always wanted to just do my own thing, like do my own journey. And like yourself, it's like I want to see people that are going to help me and help me grow. And I feel like, I'm in such a good space with my own social media because you get these targeted things and that, but no shit comes up. Nothing, I don't look at anything, I don't get triggered. And, even talking about, the emotional the bandwidth and what everyone goes through in life, as it were, and what we're able to deal with emotionally, that ticks away at things, when you, and the thing is, guys, if you get triggered by things, then generally speaking, and I'd like to know your thoughts, if I got triggered by something, I think, okay, so what do I need to work on myself? Why is that triggering me? Yeah, it can be uncomfortable, right? For sure. But it's like, oh, let's get off on this. Why the fuck has that triggered me?
Triggers are opportunities. If
But
something evokes an emotional response, then it's your responsibility as an adult to audit why that response happened and where it stems from. I mean, the amount of just comment fighting, like, and don't get me wrong, there's times where I have time in my day, I'm deciding to be dickish, and I will go onto somebody's page who I know is the opposite of the way that I think, and I will leave a comment. And it's usually something about, hormones not being the reason why you're still fat. And I always like to bring up the idea, the concept of like, well, you don't really know how much you're eating. So you can't tell me you think you're only eating 1,200 when you actually haven't put food on a scale and weighed it and measured it. So like, that's always a fun fight to have. But generally speaking, like I try to stay out of that because it's so mentally draining to have to prove or your point or convince others of your belief system. And I mean, the older I get, the more I realize you're either going to align with me because you trust me or you're not. And the audience that I have, I mean, it's wild because I've done polls on my social media stories. Everybody, like almost overwhelmingly, like 90 to 95% will agree with my viewpoints on whatever it is in nutrition and fitness that I talk about. But it's also because I'm very reasonable about what I say and what I expect of people and how I communicate. Like, yes, I'm very direct, and yes, I'll go for the jugular here and there. But I'm not saying anything you don't already know and already think that you should be doing. You're just not doing it. And your illusion and perception is that I'm putting all this effort in and nothing is happening. The best example I can give you of that is, and I'm sure you've had these people that have called you and been like, I want to work with you. And then you start talking to them and they're talking over you, telling you everything that they know. And I know this and I've done that and I've worked with this person. It's like, okay, cool. Like, according to you, you're an expert in this. Why do you look like the way you do? How is it that as a man, you're 22% body fat, knowing all of this science that you claim to know and talking about all of this exercise that you're doing? And oh, I eat this. Cool. Well, like, the rubber obviously isn't meeting the road somewhere. So either you're full of shit or your perception of what your efforts are and where they're being allocated to is distorted. And now I have to sound like an asshole and be like, well, you're wrong.
yeah,
And I hate that. Like I hate it's almost to the point now where I'm tired of hearing that like you were right, because 9 out of 10 times, like I'll have somebody DM me a question, I'll answer it, they'll say whatever, and then 3 months later they'll be like, oh, I tried that thing that you said and it worked. And it's like, yeah, because I'm not telling you anything stupid. I'm not telling you anything unreasonable. Like everything I'm telling you is rooted in science and anecdotal evidence. And if it didn't work, I wouldn't talk about it. I would shut my fucking mouth and learn better and more and have more experience and more client case studies under my belt. And then I would say something. But I've had enough experience at this point, and I'm still gathering more data and more experience. And I'm working with more diverse clientele. So I'm going to have more of a case study base to work off of. But I think a lot of people are just, they're waiting for the easiest and most convenient answer to occur or to pop up somewhere. They're trying to absolve themselves of responsibility. They're trying to find the magical boogeyman that's preventing them from complying. And at the end of the day, like there's just not a lot of transparency and authenticity left in the world because anybody can be anybody on the internet. And they don't really talk about any of the bad shit. They talk about all the highlight reels and they show the world their highlight reels. Whereas like for me, like I overate last night by 700 calories. And I wrote exactly why. I did it because I didn't give a fuck in the moment and I decided to overeat pretzels and overeat ice cream after dinner was done. So I was ran a surplus last night. If I do that 5 days a week, I'm going to get fat. So if I get fat in the next 3 weeks, I can't wake up being disappointed, knowing that not only did I have the data to back up my behavior, but I knew exactly why what happened happened. Whereas like so many people are just like woefully blind and ignorant to their own behavior. And then they wake up one day, they're like, where did this come from? It's like, you fucking know exactly where it came from. This is not a priority for you. And stop pretending like it is. If you truly have the vanity goals that you claim to have, then fucking behave like it. Then don't spend every weekend out at the bar or at the restaurant with your girlfriend smashing fucking mimosas and eating avocado toast and pretending it's healthy for you. Don't spend 45 minutes a day on a Peloton bike when your number one goal is to grow muscle mass. Get out of the fucking group fitness environment and go lift real weights in a real gym setting with real equipment and find out how to do it the right way. But I'm just so tired of listening to people's problems when you offer them solution after solution after solution that are all relatively simple, wildly evidence based, and then they're in the same spot 6 months from now. It's like, cool, then just shut the fuck up and don't talk about any of your goals anymore. Nobody cares.
You've got to have, I feel, if it is the overeating example, a really nice example that for sure happens, right? And I feel like building that trust with a client and actually the ownership from the client is super important. So it's like, okay, like you just said, last night this happened. Okay, I've overeaten. Right, okay. So how do we have almost like a graduated response to this potentially? If this is something that's a habit for you that maybe even stems from childhood, right? Like this could be something that's been going on for quite some time. Suddenly they have a coach like us that gives a shit. Okay, so let's work on this together. So next time, if this does happen, maybe tell me sooner or it's less so, and then it over time there's, as I say, this graduated response. And I feel like this feeds in very nicely to something you mentioned earlier about the demonization. If we're a coach and someone once, they're in a diet phase, overeat 700 calories one night. Right. Okay. So that's happened. What are we going to do with it? Give the solution. If they then work with you with Z solution, and over time this gets less so, less frequent, less calories, however it is, there's improvement, and you're seeing the client show up, right? You're seeing
Yep.
the client, and that builds the trust, builds the commitment. But there has to be this reciprocal, and this is what you're describing, right? It's like, we have to have this team work to see the improvement because the vanity goal is there. But if you're not having the client show up as well as you and you're getting this, balance across a team effort, as it were, how do we help? How do we help do that?
Well, our job, first and foremost, as professionals, is because we know better, we have to set our clients up for success. And the first place we do that is with setting expectations properly. Very easy example. About an hour ago, a client texted me, and I did a Zoom call last night with all my clients, talking to them about cardio, how to implement it, what it is, how it's defined, just the basics of cardio.
Cool.
And she texted me and she's like, should I do sprints? Should I be doing sprints? I said that out of an hour conversation about cardio, that was the only question you came up with is, well, should I be doing sprints? I said, sure. I don't give a fuck. But do you understand what sprints are? She's like, yeah. I mean, do you understand that sprints are more significantly taxing on your nervous system than moderate intensity cardio, and you have to recover from sprints, and it's more of a stress on your body? Yes. Are you limited on time? And that's why you're opting for sprints versus moderate intensity cardio. She said, sometimes I am. I said, okay, cool. Like, what do you plan on doing? She's like, well, if I can, I'll just hop on an elliptical and sprint for 10 minutes. I'm like, first of all, if you're sprinting for 10 minutes, it's not a sprint. You're just
Agreed.
moving as fast as you can for 10 minutes. That's not sprinting. That's just higher intensity effort. And by definition, it's not a sprint anymore. So it's like, even after explaining things as clearly as humanly fucking possible, because most people don't know anything about this stuff and they're piecemealing information from 90 different sources. And there's still the buzzing in their head about all these other things and all these other areas that they're paying attention to. I can't get them to stop using social media. I can't get them to follow even if I give them recommendations, and I do, like I have an entire highlight reel on my page of women's accounts to follow. So if you're a woman and you're looking for credible fitness and nutrition advice, here are 70 accounts that you can follow tomorrow that are better than probably what you're following. And I still have people that are like, well, what about this and what about that? It's like, what the fuck are you doing now?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, don't ask me about like optimal or best when we don't even understand what your baseline is. Like, this is a person who does 90 minutes of cardio a week and she's got 30 to 40 pounds to lose. So just fucking keep going. Go from 90 to 100, go from 100 to 120, go from 120 to 140. Increase your daily activity however you can. Like, it's not that sprints are better or worse. You can argue both sides of that, but it's like it's just it gets to be such a frustrating conversation to have because it's not as simple of an answer as they're looking for. Like they're if you're a good coach, unfortunately and time consumingly, you have to speak with a lot of context. And fitness and nutrition can be simple, but it has to be looked at from the lens of what's good, what's better, and what's best. And we can't get to best or better if we haven't mastered good enough yet. And that's a very tough concept for people to understand. That it's like, well, when am I going to be better? It's like when you get good at, when you're the best at being good. Like when good is not a problem for you anymore. Like if you can, without any level of resistance, exhibit this level of standards and parameters and actions, then you can graduate to this next thing. But by that point, you probably won't even be asking about it because you'll be so satisfied with how you feel that it's not going to matter. Because most people don't need to be like these optimal creatures and they have to take the perfect amount of vitamin D at the perfect amount of time, and their heart rate has to be in this perfect number for this amount of time. Like the body's just not that precise and it's not that fragile.
Mhm.
And I think people still look at it that way.
This is where we have the badge of honor, as it were, as coaches to dig down on this and stay true to let's get you to good. And I feel like again, if you're coaching, if there's a coach listening to this or multiple coaches, think about this, meeting the client where they're at, rather than back to that analogy of trying to take someone to be like living like a competitive bodybuilder when let's get it good, make it a habit, make it a lifestyle, and that's how I label it, right? Let's make this your lifestyle. And when there are the questions, I feel like it's on us to be direct and say, that's not what we're focusing on right now. That's not what we need to fill our heads with in this noise you talk about. That's what it is. It's just noise. What can I make more optimal? What can I? Whoa. As coaches, let's set the standard. Let's focus on this first. So I want to see this rinse and repeat weeks on end here. Yep.
Yeah, like
Yep.
not weeks, fucking months. Like for Gen Pop, like bodybuilders are held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a bodybuilder, the second you make that decision, understand you are no longer going to get empathy drawn down on you and sympathy and it's okay and try better more next time. Like, no, fuck that. You're now an athlete. You're locked the fuck in. Nothing else in the world matters. And this better be the thing that you're really focused on. Or like now, if you want to just bodybuild for the fuck of it and say that you did it to cross it off your bucket list, then who cares? No, we can treat you like a pedestrian and we can throw minimal amounts of protocol at you. You don't have to do drugs if that's your goal. But if your goal is to be a good bodybuilder that wins things and that competes on stage, then it's probably going to be one of your top two priorities every single day. Your nutrition better be one of your number one priorities. Your sleep, your training, your cardio, your movement, your recovery. Like these are things that you have to now think about 24/7, 365. If you're awake, you're thinking about them. What does that mean? That means that your relationships with other people might suffer. That means that your relationship with leisure might suffer. You might not have leisure as much as you'd like. You might not have balance, proverbially, like people speak of. But that's because you chose an extreme sport. You chose a sport that requires a lot of sacrifice. So maybe pickleball would be better for you if you don't want to do that stuff. Or maybe
Man,
just,
everything.
Recreational basketball would be a better idea. But it's just everything has to come back to what is it that you verbalized as your desire? Now, anything is possible, I think, truly. Anybody can achieve anything, but I'm going to tell you very realistically what it's going to take and approximately, without really knowing definitively, how long it could potentially take you. Like I usually tell people, if you're looking for like a full-on, unrecognizable body transformation, 2 to 4 years.
Love that.
2 to 4 years with very little deviation away from consistency. And I mean like not 80-20, but like 90-10.
Mhm.
That means that if we're looking at a calendar year of 365 days, your nutrition better be on point 320 of those fucking days. Your training better be consistently 2 to 3 times a week. You better be having 60 to 100 minutes of cardio. You better be having, 7 to 9,000 steps on average. Your sleep better be awesome. Your fucking stress management techniques need to be in place. And I'm not going to be the one who teaches you that because I'm not your mommy, your daddy, or your therapist. And if you don't have a therapist and you're still talking about mommy and daddy issues and trauma from your ex-boyfriend, then hire a fucking therapist and don't hire a coach.
Mhm. How do you bridge that gap with, obviously on consult you can talk about those things, but if you do have, say you're midway through coaching someone, you've been coaching for a while, you have that relationship. Do you find it tricky at this point, or are you quite just this is not my realm, as it were?
I used to try to take on a lot of stuff that I wasn't qualified for mentally. I didn't realize how draining it was for me. Like again, I've done the work as a 41-year-old man to deal with my issues, and I'm still managing them to the best of my ability. And I'll go back to therapy on a need to need basis if I start to feel my life getting too heavy and me not being able to handle. The first call I make is to my therapist. I don't have her all the time. I don't use her on a month-to-month basis, but when I need her, I pay her for 3 months in advance and we're going to work on a weekly basis. The amount of people north of 30 that haven't gotten their shit together psychologically is astronomically high, and it's painful to watch. Whether it be like, I can't step on a scale without freaking out.
Mm, mm.
Like, why? It's a fucking number. It's your gravitational pull on Earth that day. What are you worried about? Like, are you fat? Cool. You can do something about that. But if you're like, I had a woman who's 144 pounds. And she's like sending me screenshots, and she's just like a free person. It's just somebody I gave free advice to on Instagram. She's like sending me screenshots of every one of her morning weights. She's like, "Well, I'm up 1 pound from my lowest weight this week." I said, "Yeah, but you're down zero point 0.8 pounds from your highest weight last week. Like,
Averages.
like you have this much time in your life, and you have this much bandwidth to worry about a number on the floor?
Mhm.
This is what you're concerned about, not the content of your character, not the way that you're communicating or not communicating with your friends and family, not your ability to show up in the world, but the fucking number on the floor is your biggest problem. I'm not going to fix that for you because I'm not going to manage that bullshit on a week to week basis. I'm a fucking fitness and nutrition professional. Is psychology part of it to some degree? Of course. But at some point, like I have a girl who literally overeats by I don't know, 5 to 900 calories every single weekend and has literally put on 11 pounds since she started working with me. And week after week, it's the same conversation. Like, I can't help you if you don't value feeling good enough to stop overeating.
Yeah.
And you can't continue to verbalize your struggle when you're doing nothing measurably about it. Change your environment, change your fucking friend group, change the way you behave on the weekends. Like, what the fuck do you want me to tell you? I get that you have all these things you want to do and you live in sunny Los Angeles and it's beautiful and you can have fucking margaritas all the time, but clearly that's not serving you. So it's either you change the way you live your life or you accept that you're going to continue to get heavier.
I feel like that's actually a relevant point into what the goal is, actually feeling better, looking better over time. That's absolutely a goal, but this maybe is what thrusts people into, step on stage, or, maybe the pressure of a photo shoot or something. And actually, that goal then becomes oh, I've got this date to head for, and maybe a holiday, whatever it is. but then we're not actually laying down the things that are going to help you feel good for the rest of your life. Or it's like this restriction for a set period of time, and then you come out the back of it, and holy shit, you go back to the life of the things that make you feel good momentarily, but actually you're incredibly unhappy. And this is where, I'd love to be able to say, can we just, enhance the lifestyle and the goal be get up out of bed every day and be like, I'm here for it. I'm loving my training, loving eating my food, and I'm just enjoying the lifestyle that I'm paying you for as a coach. But we're in this echo chamber of like, and do those goals, do they then become the only thing that people are going to do this time dependent goal on, but actually then they're missing out on the changes to the actual lifestyle because it's just that finite goal. Because looking good or feeling better isn't enough. Do you know what I mean?
I think feeling better is never enough.
Yeah.
You ask 1,000 people, like if you change your eating and you change your nutrition and you improve your training frequency and intensity, do you feel good? Yeah. Is that not enough for you to continue? Why is that feeling that you feel that's improved from what you used to feel like? Why is that not enough? Why does it owe you any more than that? Because if it owes you any more than that, then you better get ready to be more precise with what you're doing and how you're tracking things. Again, I'll keep using examples of people because it's easy to do. Um, I offered a $98 a month, and it's still currently an offer, $98 a month basics of coaching option. So they're going to get customized macros and customized calories based on their goal, their current body composition. So whatever their goal is, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever. A workout plan, a cardio plan, weekly Zoom education, daily text messages, and a monthly check-in with me with ability to submit 2 videos per week for form check reviews. $98 a month. People spend more than that at fucking Starbucks weekly.
That's what I'm thinking.
The amount of people that have DM'd me and said, I'm interested. I said, cool. Do you want the link for this? And are you ready to rock and roll? Well, and then dot, 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 and insert whatever fucking objection or thing that you have. I'm just so, Sarah, at this point, my business is fine. I don't need any more clients. I'm like, cool. Offer stands. I'm not going anywhere. You can keep spinning your wheels. You can keep trying to figure it out. Clearly, it's not working for you. You've been trying to figure it out for fucking 30 years and it hasn't worked yet. And you can keep living this bullshit narrative lie that nothing works and you're a victim and it's so hard for you and it's so easy for everybody else. It's like, no, it's not. It's just as hard for me and for you who are in great shape than it is for the person who's 300 pounds who's not in great shape because we have to keep showing up the same way that they have to keep thinking about showing up. The only difference is we do and they don't. And that's not a knock on fat people or people that are out of shape. It's just that like it's not easier for me than it is for you. I just have better habits that are lasted longer than yours have. You quit when it gets hard. I find ways to accommodate when it gets hard to be able to stick to something versus abandoning all of it like you do every single time. That's the only difference. And I have 26 years of experience doing it. I don't mind eating the way that I eat and being regular and consistent with it. I still enjoy going out to restaurants. I still fucking overeat sometimes. There's some times where I don't feel like training, but I still make myself do it. So it's like you have to put yourself into a voluntary place of discomfort because if you don't, then the discomfort that naturally comes with being a human being is going to throw you off track every single time it shows up. And if you're not prepared for that and you don't have the mental and emotional resilience to handle a tough conversation with your spouse or a shitty day with your kids or a tough day at work and you lean on food for comfort or booze for comfort or the couch for comfort, then comfortable is all you're ever going to be. And unfortunately, results of any kind, whether they be in your career, in your relationship, in your fitness, and your health, require some level of voluntary discomfort.
I do. I love it when you have a client that gets to that point where actually the fitness lifestyle and the structure there is not leaning into it to cover up, because of course we know that's a thing, as it were. Maybe more in the competitive bodybuilding realm potentially, but where you would sort of mask things going on and pursue things maybe even more. But from a lifestyle standpoint, when clients get to that point where it is a lifestyle and actually it gives them a reason rather than excuses, it's a reason. Like they're finding reasons to do Z thing. I'd like to go to a gym an extra time this week, coach, but we've got a plan in place. Okay, let's do a play session. This type of stuff. When someone is so brought in, it does come. But that can be, and as sell it as it were, and we're not salespeople, but we sort of technically are as coaches. It feels like it half
Yeah.
the time. But this is why it's like if I have a client come on board, it's like, I'm not looking at a 12-week shred here. This is a huge transformation journey here of your whole lifestyle, not
Whole
just
life.
your physique, right? Like, and they're
Whole
gonna
life.
have to say no. They're gonna have to say no. They're gonna have to and bring people on board. And the resilience to say no, Aram, I feel
It's
like,
hard.
yeah, and where do we lose that right as humans? To say
I,
no, and we don't
well, I
even,
mean,
y- you know.
pop psychology and I'm a people pleaser and putting this fucking label on yourself because some person with a fucking bachelor's degree in psychology created a meme that you now shared about your own mental health struggles. Everything is like, I'm so happy that I'm not a trend follower
Yes.
because all trends do is dilute the truth and thwart your actual ability to comply to something that works. Trends are, you know what a trend is? I'm sure you've seen the meme of um, the girl and the guy walking and the guy looking around as another girl is passing. That's what trends are. Trends are a distraction. Trends are going to continue to occur for the rest of time while you're alive and I'm alive. They're going to be relatively similar because they're going to be exciting. They're going to feel new. They're going to feel better than the last trend. And oh, maybe this is the thing I have to try. No, it's just going to be more bullshit covered in a different wrapper. Still going to be the same brand and smell of shit, but it's just going to be packaged differently. And you're going to still get distracted from it because you have a squirrel brain that can't pay attention to one thing at a time. And that's the problem is, whether we expect all of our food to taste like restaurant meals, we expect workouts to be fun, and we expect, everybody to understand all of this stuff and why we're doing it. Like most of the people in our lives don't care about nutrition and fitness. My parents don't give a fuck. Most of my friends don't give a fuck. They're, they'll complain about being fat, but they'll do absolutely jack shit about it. So I'm done convincing any of them. So when I go out to dinner or I go out for drinks with my friends, I don't want to hear you talk to me about nutrition and fitness because I've talked to you about it before. This is my time to drink. This is my time to eat. Leave me the fuck alone and let me enjoy my life. If you want to know information from me, book a fucking consult and a call, and I'm happy to tell you everything you need to know. What I know that you're not going to follow it because you have no accountability to do so. So we've lost the ability to be adults. I look around. It is. I've chosen in my life not to have children, and the amount of people I see that have children that are passing down or creating an environment of meagerness and fragility and emotional reactivity and the inability to think critically and the inability to handle hardship is wild. Like I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled that my father was hard on me. I'm so happy that my life was hard. I'm so happy that my parents were stern. I'm so happy that I grew up in an environment where I had to work all the time. I'm so happy that I lost my childhood technically for this ability. Like I would rather have kids not have a fucking childhood but be productive and functional adults as opposed to have this responsibility free 22 years and then they come out into the real world and they have no idea how to handle it because their parents did not set them up for it. And it's because the parents themselves are not equipped to handle it. Like and now it's so easy to just stick your kid in front of a fucking device when you're feeling tired of having to parent that day because God forbid you have to parent and also take care of yourself and also go to work. Like that's what you signed up for. Like I was talking to a woman once on again, another example. She DMs me and she's telling me about all this stuff. And then she mentions to me, she's like, "Oh, I have 7 kids."
Oh,
I'm like, why the and my initial reaction, okay, fine, you made your choice. It's your bed now, you gotta sleep in it. But like, do you expect to have any time ever to do anything for yourself? Like you this is the life that you've chosen. You don't have a lot of options. Like I can tell you what could be possibly best practices for you, but you don't have a lot of time to go to the gym. Oh, and by the way, she was a single mother of 7 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to be fatter than you want for most of your life unless you eat very little because you don't have the time to move. Like you can certainly move around your life and accumulate steps, but you're not doing anything significant. You're not going to really, you don't even have 30 minutes a day to allocate towards cardiovascular exercise. So it's like if you truly have chosen to have these 7 children and also have now chosen shitty fucking partners that aren't going to stay with you for those 7 children, I'm sorry, but like your expectation of what results are going to look like for you are going to be wildly diminished compared to somebody who doesn't have 7 children. And I know that this is a shitty thing to say and it might seem unempathetic, but I did not choose to have 7 children. And nobody told you, hey, it would be a great idea if you were to fill up your life with all these kids and then have zero time for yourself until they were all 18 and out of the house. And that's when you can start living. But you made that choice. So now you have to navigate the consequences of that choice. And I feel like saying that to somebody automatically makes you sound like an asshole as opposed to, well, that's a shitty circumstance that you decided to get yourself into. That's it. Nobody made the choice but you to do that. There were plenty of alternatives that you could have chosen that you didn't. And maybe they were against your religion or your belief system, but that's also your fucking problem too to deal with. So you can't have everything. You can't have the life that I want and the body that I want and the amount of children that I want and the money in my bank. Like you have to earn all of it. And if you can't earn it, then you can't expect it to show up.
I made the same decision as you with having children. It's, I toyed with the idea, and then it was like quite a few things, commonalities there that you've just spoken about. With, you know, it's this world we're in. I, for me, if I had a child, and I don't know if you'd be the same. I mean, I'd be obsessed with that. I've always seen it as, and I've always said this even with having a dog. It's like that needs to be the dog is okay. The child, and I'm not saying dog and children are the same, guys. I just realized I was
Yeah, dogs are way easier.
but like, even with a dog, when I had dogs before, I was obsessed with them. Like everything I did on a day-to-day basis was like, are they okay? That's the priority. And I know I'd be fucking wild with a child. And that's what I believe parenthood is, right? You bring a child into this earth and that's the responsibility. You're then not, the priority is such, particularly for those early years, I would say. But then there's the element of trying to then how does that work with still being you as a person and not just a mum? That's the a quote unquote balance, I suppose. That's the hard.
Where are you gonna find the time for self-reflection and self-care? Like when none of your time is your own, based on the circumstances that you decided to choose to have, well, then it sucks. Your mental health is going to suffer. Your physical health is going to suffer. I mean, you can certainly only one example I've ever heard of, and this is a woman who I actually follow and follows me. She was on my podcast. She has 10 children.
Whoa.
She and she's widowed. So her husband committed suicide in front of her and 5 of her kids. She went through debilitating legal battles because most of the stuff was in his name and he controlled the finances and everything else. And then his mother tried to take custody of the kids and all this nightmare stuff. This woman's 53 years old. She's actively a bikini competitor. She runs 2 businesses, and all of her kids are taught in her methods. So they all meal prep for her. They clean the house. They go to work, all of them. Even the youngest ones have responsibilities. I forgot what the youngest ones were and what the oldest ones, but most of, I think 6 out of 10 of her kids are like north of 17. So they're pretty self-sufficient at this point. But she does have a couple of younger ones, and the older ones take care of the younger ones because they understand the circumstances in the house and the mother has taught them that. But there's a woman who realized her life is going to be difficult if she doesn't change the way she lives her life and she doesn't train her children to change the way they live their lives. And they're not going to have a normal childhood. And so be it. So what? I don't understand this value that we have. Like, well, you have to have a childhood. Most of the world, kids don't have childhoods. Most of the world, kids work. Most of the world, kids have responsibilities. They cook, they clean, they go to jobs. Sometimes it's even forced labor, but most of the world isn't going to fucking Disneyland and playing with toys all day long. Most kids in other countries, probably even in the UK sometimes, have
Exactly.
responsibilities that American parents would never dream of giving their kids. It's like, oh, Jimmy's had a tough day at school today, so he's not going to be required to clean his clothes. I'll do his laundry for him. Okay, cool. So you're setting him up to be a useless piece of shit. So every time Jimmy has a hard day, he's going to have mommy rescue him. What are you teaching him? And more so, then you're becoming resentful of your own children because they don't know how to do anything and you've had to do everything for them. So I just like again, like I'm not a parent. I don't like I understand this stuff conceptually, and I'm not trying to give people advice, but just get very clear on what it is that you're capable of and willing to do versus what it is you're not capable of and not willing to do, and then formulate your goals based off of your capabilities and your level of investment. If you can't do that, then you're never going to be in alignment and it's never going to feel like you're making any progress because your expectations don't match your reality at all. And that's your fault 100% of the time.
That's the impact as well with parenthood of having your ducks in a line, as it were, and even what we were talking about with a healthier lifestyle and improving your life and having the fundamentals we were talking about. That's a very good impression for children being brought up by you as well, right?
Huge.
There's a bedtime, there's a wake up time, there's dinner at a certain time, and it's going to include fruits and veg and blah 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 blah. All of these things. It's an impressionable
Yep.
period of time for your children as they move through. The 0 to 8 is obviously when we're building habits and finding out our character traits, etc., and then we're turning into young adults and into adults. And it's like when we track back, are those things in your childhood, are they going to help you as you then become an adult? And actually, are you at 30 plus, or the demographic you mentioned where it's like the emotional resilience is so low, the food habits could improve.
Oh,
And
mine were bad. Like my parents taught me nothing.
yeah,
My parents taught me nothing because they were fighting to put food on the table. My mother had three jobs. My father had three jobs when we first moved to America, and that persisted for 12 years of my life. And I was five when I moved here. So from five to 17 years old, I watched my parents grind every single day. Their health went to shit because of it. You think my mother's priority was to lose body fat when she was working three jobs trying to scrape by every day? No, it was the lowest thing on the totem pole. Nobody taught me how to eat. My fucking meals consisted of 8 hot dogs and a 2 liter bottle of soda every single day. I was pudgy, I was unathletic, and at 16 years old, I decided to take up weightlifting.
okay.
And because of my work ethic at that point, because I'd already been working on a farm at 13 years old, I didn't mind the strenuous nature of weightlifting. I didn't mind getting yelled at by a coach. I didn't mind having to wake up at 5 in the morning and show up on a track to do sprints. To me, that was exciting and it was character building. But for many people, that level of effort and work is too much. It's too much. How dare you? How could you put a child through that? Well, you're building an adult. What
Yes.
you're doing is you're developing an adult. You're developing an adult that knows how to take criticism and doesn't freak out about it. You're developing an adult who understands time management skills, understands the value of other people's time, understands the value of being on time or early, even, which is better than on time. You're developing children that have responsibilities and that have things that they can do every single day that give them a purpose outside of just fucking playing with toys and an iPad. And then it's not a wonder that when you see that type of stuff trickle down, that it manifests itself into some level of a successful human being. Like when it's given to you and it's not earned, it's not kept. It's just like results. If it took you 12 weeks, it's going to leave you in 12 weeks afterwards. If it took you 3 years, the likelihood is that you'll probably keep it forever because you probably learned how to change yourself from the inside out along the way that 12 weeks will never happen for. So it's logic. If you don't understand that at a base level, then just stop communicating your desires to be any level of lean, any level of aesthetic. I just don't care. Like, you're not going to get any sympathy or back rubs from me. I'm just going to tell you you're full of shit. You're delusional. This is the best you'll be able to do based on what you've been able to communicate to me your capabilities are. And if that's not good enough for you, then inject yourself with a bunch of peptides and a bunch of PEDs and see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't, I,
peptide
I don't,
culture.
I don't have another alternative for you. There's no door number three.
I've seen your post about the peptide stuff because it's this blowing up over here, and it's like I've mentioned this before, but anyone listening who's part of your audience, Aram, at my gym over in the UK, I'm abnormal because I'm not on the Retta or the GLP-1, and I'm like, I just want a diet. Like if I'm doing a diet, I'm just doing a diet, guys. I don't need something to make it easier. I want to feel it.
Because you get better at it. And then next time you do it, you can handle it more and you learn stuff from it. But like, listen, I get it. These things are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Chemical aids are only going to get better. They're only going to get more accessible. They're only going to become more mainstream. So as coaches, we have to be able to understand that this is what's going to happen. We can't fight it. But we also have to be very clear in communicating that despite all of these chemical aids, there's still an underlying prerequisite of foundational habits that you still have to have. Otherwise, you're just a very expensive pincushion, right? Like, I don't care how much trenbolone you take. If you don't go to the gym and lift weights and you don't watch your nutrition, you're not going to get the results of the trenbolone outside of water retention and fatness and acne and rage and whatever else and erectile dysfunction. So you can certainly take the drug, but the drug comes with a prerequisite of having to do all of these other things too. So whether it's Retta, whether it's GLPs of other kinds, whether it's fucking CJC, whether it's ipamorelin, whether it's BPC 157, whatever it is, you should still probably also sleep well. You should probably still also do cardio. You should probably still also stretch and foam roll. You should probably also seek out some type of meditative practice or a journaling practice to maintain your mental health. You should probably also eat fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins. Like it doesn't absolve you of any of these things. It's just there to enhance what you're already doing. So if what you're already doing is shit, then make shit less shitty, and then the drugs will work better.
Things that this is what this is the yo-yo dieting culture that it can exhibit because it's the basic fundamentals that aren't then in place. I mean, I had a conversation with someone at the gym the other day, and he was like, "It's fucking great. I don't have to eat," and I'm like, "All right, okay." I'm I'm probably the wrong person to
Yeah,
sometimes Aaron,
right.
in these circumstances. I'm like, I'm really not the right person to talk to. Like, how do you not? I got asked, like, how do you not eat like all the delicious foods? And I'm like, what are you asking me? If I'm in a diet,
You're
I
dieting.
can't.
You're dieting. You've chosen to voluntarily eat less and you assume it's going to be easy. Like if you're normally used to eating whatever, whenever, and now you're entering into a dieting protocol that you voluntarily chosen because it promises you a specific outcome, how could you not expect it to suck even a little bit? It would be like saying, I'm used to making $5,000 a month, but for the next 2 months, I'm only going to make $2,000 a month.
It's gonna suck.
So that's going to suck, but I could probably adjust my spending habits
Yes.
to adjust to that lower income.
Mm.
And then I'm not going to be as financially strapped. It's the same thing with dieting. I'm used to eating a lot of processed foods that are highly calorie dense and nutrient poor. If I was to start to adjust my diet to being more nutrient dense and calorie poor, I could probably get a lot more volume of food in that keeps me fuller for longer at a much lower caloric cost. Maybe now I'm going to eat more potatoes than I do bread. Maybe I'm going to pack in more vegetables than I do anything else for carbs. Maybe I'm going to leverage having some fruits that are very watery. Maybe I'm going to have very large portions of lean protein so I can feel satiated and full. And I'm going to learn how to use condiments and seasonings to make it suck less and have it be more flavorful. It's not hard, it's shitty, and it's not forever. So just suck it up for a certain period of time. Know that it's not going to be fun. Know that there's no door number three option. It's either you do it, you don't do it, or you keep hoping that it's going to change and it's not going to. And door number three is a shitty place to live. That's it. Like make it that simple. Remove the emotion from it and have some level of accountability. Either an accountability buddy, hire a coach, post about it on Instagram. I don't give a shit, but be held accountable to your actions. I said I'm going to do this, so this is what I'm going to do because people are depending on me. That's it.
And you should be dependent on yourself, right, to actually say words and take action rather than, like you said earlier, it's all right for you. It's all right for me. I don't. I just sit here and I take Tren, and I'm fine. I don't do anything. It is, again, we have to take ownership of where the mindset is at to go. Do this for you guys. Like, do this for you. And I know it sounds fucking cliche, but I say it all the time, Aram, and I will keep saying it till my last breath. Do it for you, and it's just so much more. Like it. There's less noise. It just makes life much more calmer, more peaceful.
That's what it is. That's all I want. Like at 41 years old, I just want, like, honestly, there's just some times where I just want to be left alone.
Just
I
peace.
want to, I would just want to be able to sit on the couch, pet my dog's head, have a cup of coffee. And like, I think of like, I wake up at 4:45 to 5:15 every morning. And the second I wake up, I have 15 to 20 text messages from clients. I have 12 to 20 DMs on Instagram, and it's all the same. It's all relatively the same. It's some negative commentary about what they didn't do that they know they should have done and how do they get over it. And I don't know. I don't know how to teach you to be a more integrity based adult. It's either a value of yours or it isn't. Personally, for me, if I'm not willing to do the work, I don't talk about the outcome. I'm not going to announce it to the world. I'm not gonna like I know myself. I would never in a million years would I ever put myself on stage to bodybuild because I don't want to exhibit that level of dietary discipline.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would I would love the growing part, like fill me up full of drugs and go and push me into a gym and I will be the biggest fucking massive person on the planet, but I won't be very lean. I'm gonna look like a fucking Oompa Loompa at 15% body fat and no visible striations anywhere. But yeah, that's more fun for me. I don't want to have to restrict my food. I don't want to have to put on a bikini and pose. I don't want to do any of that shit. But if you want to do it, and that's the goal you've decided to have, then show the fuck up and prove to the world and prove to yourself that that's what you're gonna do. Or don't do it. It's as simple as that. Nobody forced you to.
I love this is why I love you are straight talking, and you've always said you have huge respect for competitive bodybuilders that do,
Huge.
you
I
know,
can't do, I mean, I can. Again,
don't want
I
to,
don't have the
don't need
discipline.
to.
I just don't have the discipline. I have enough discipline to sit around 10 to 12%, but any more than that, I can only do for a short period of time because I love to sit on the couch and smoke pot and not give a fuck. I love to not give a shit whether or not I have abs. Like the leaner I was, the more psychotic and neurotic I became about it. I would look at every single reflection. Is everything still tight? Is everything still where it needs to be? Micromanaging every skin fold and every roll. And nobody gives a fuck but you. Nobody. Your fucking partner doesn't care. Your family doesn't give a shit. Your friends don't care. Social media doesn't care because they'll forget about you tomorrow. But there you are, obsessed about all of it. Your cellulite, your fat, your rolls, this and that. Do whatever makes you happy. Do it the right way in a sustainable fashion to where you might have a chance to learn some habits along the way. And if you're not willing to do it, don't talk about it. That's it.
This is why I say do it for you. Do it for you. Yeah, it's got to be some sort of wild cathartic endeavor, I believe, to have a mindset is actually, even when you get to those depths that you're talking about, you're very hypercritical, or you can be, there's neuroticism, etc., etc. Anyone listening that hasn't listened before, I've done 7 preps, right? So, I've been to stage multiple times and I am
Holy
slightly
fuck.
yeah, obviously in a season there's multiple shows as well, and over 10 years I did 7 preps, Aram. It was brutal. One of my preps was 13 months, right? So it was
13?
yeah, I qualified for finals, you see. So it was
Oh,
season A, qualified for finals and went all the way to WABA Miss Universe in Mexico, and that was the end of the
oh.
season. So I started the prep, the year before, and I did pretty much the last show of the season in the November, including a Christmas and everything. But and I say that for context, anyone that is new to listening, because it is, if I didn't do this for me. I wouldn't still be doing it, and I'm not competing actively right now, but I still very much live as a competitive bodybuilder for myself. I couldn't give a shit what anyone else looks like, how they do. I don't care what anyone else is doing. It's being in your bubble, and I think everyone can learn from that. Whatever your identity is, and this is why again I love you coming on because it's like I don't want to do that. Cool. You're not gonna do like, and Matt's the same. He's like, couldn't think of anything worse. Like, I don't, it does nothing for me. And whereas I'm like, I fucking love bodybuilding. And he's like, you're weird. I don't want to do that.
But look, you guys coexist and it works. Like there's so many couples that I think somebody like I've watched it, I've seen it happen in in the coaching space where like either the guy decided to bodybuild or the girl decided to bodybuild and the other person wasn't supportive of it, or they overtly were supportive of it, but when when shit hit the fan and the sex drive is gone and the mood is shitty and the person is very, very responsive and reactive to stress because they're super, super hungry and they're firing off on everything. All of a sudden now they're like not as supportive. So now the environment at home changes. It's like, well, again, what did you expect? You put yourself into a very extreme situation. You didn't understand or prepare your partner for what was going to happen. So their expectations were not aligned with reality, which is how anybody would get frustrated. And now you're 4 weeks out and you want to quit because your home life sucks and you're wondering why the hell you did it in the first place. So it's like I even tell my clients who are just Gen Pop people trying to lose fat, I said, tell your fucking family about what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Have them involved. Tell them that things are going to change around the house, environment wise, food availability wise. You're the one doing the grocery shopping. It's going to be different now because you're going to be buying different things. Set them up to understand that this is going to happen so that they're not shocked when they open up the pantry and there isn't gobs of Oreos and gobs of chips and gobs of fucking pastries in there anymore. It's going to change. It's going to be more fresh fruit. It's going to be deli meat. It's going to be protein powder. It's going to be snacks that are portioned down into bags, and that's okay. But if they're not ready for that, they're going to resent you for it.
Yeah, and resentment is the killer of fucking everything. It absolutely is. Now, before we wrap up, I did want to ask you about the FDA guidelines over in the States because you did a post about it. I know this is completely random spin on it, but before you go, I'm like, he's got to go soon, and I'm not going to get to
I
you.
don't care. The FDA guidelines. So more meat, more dairy, less processed carbs, more vegetables, more fruit. I honestly believe it's a net positive. We can certainly sit there and micromanage the whole saturated fat problem, but let's be honest. A majority of individuals in the United States aren't looking at the food pyramid for guidance,
Mm,
first and foremost. They're listening to Gary Brecka and Dave Asprey and Mel Robbins and Peter Attia and Andrew Huberman for their nutrition advice. So they're already fucked because of that. So the food pyramid is, I think, could either be net positive or net neutral because hospitals and schools have to abide by it,
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
which, let's be honest, most people are fat. If most people are fat and they eat fewer refined carbohydrates, would it stand to reason that they'd be eating fewer calories? Probably. So they might actually lose weight. If you're encouraging them to eat more meat, now I wish they specified lean meat versus just meat.
That's the
Um,
thing.
I wish they got a little bit more granular with their recommendations, but you can't. You can't recommend the same thing to 390 million people and expect anybody to actually standardize it. Is it better than the last one? The evidence science-based neurotics will tell you that this is bad because of the saturated fat increase potential and because of the whole grain decrease, which tends to, you know, aid with fiber consumption. But I'm thinking about it on a calorie to calorie standpoint because most people don't need to micromanage food quality until they can manage food quantity.
Yes.
Like we haven't taught people about quantity yet to where they need to manage quality all that much. Like if you don't understand what your individual caloric budget is, I don't give a fuck what you eat because it's not going to make any sense. You can eat as much healthy food as you want.
Avocados.
Right. And avocados are a great food, but they're also wildly caloric in nature because they're mostly a fat source, which does have fiber in it as well. It's a great fiber source as well. But are there less calorie dense, fat dense fiber options? Yeah. Fucking raspberries. But then, then you have the idiots that are going to be like, well, raspberries are fruit and fruit has sugar and sugar is bad for you. So it's like you're never going to win.
Yeah.
Nobody paid attention to it 20 years ago. Some people are paying attention to it now because nutrition and information is becoming a little bit more mainstream and popular. But by and large, I think still nobody gives a fuck.
Mhm.
and nobody will continue to give a fuck. Our administration is full of fucking idiot clowns who just do shit for press.
Yeah.
This was another one of those attempts to just think that you're doing something for the greater good when in reality you're just pushing a financial agenda. I mean, shit, when our fucking, what's her name? Casey Means also has a CGM company that she's heavily invested in. Of course, she's going to tell people to eat less carbs and sells fucking continuous glucose monitors to people. Like, it's not hard to see these things. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't give a shit about politics. I mean, if there wasn't as much stuff on social media about Trump and all this other stuff, I wouldn't even know who was in office.
I'm the same as you. I don't know what the fuck
I,
is going
I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
on.
I'm
Yeah.
a white male in America that runs his own business. What the fuck do I have to worry about? Like, do I care about other people and their rights? Kinda. But what am I gonna do about it? I don't have the money. I don't have the influence. I don't have the voice. Me going downtown in San Diego and picketing along with the other fucking idiots that are gonna do it, we're not gonna make any meaningful change. If anything, they'll just see me and fucking rubber bullet me because I look like a threat. So I'm not gonna put myself into harm's way to make sure that everybody has equal rights. Like nobody's ever had equal rights in the dawn of man. There's no such thing as equal rights. I've nobody's treated equally. People are treated with whatever biases the other person who's treating you has. And that's how it's always going to be. Like that is the nature of human nature, being as shitty as it is and as selfish as it is. So I just don't pay attention to this stuff. And as far as the food pyramid is concerned, we'll see in 5 years what changes. Probably nothing. We'll see in 10 years what changes. Probably nothing. I think America will continue to be more obese by the year. I think people will continue to be more and more confused by the conflicting information that they see on social media. I think people will still be less and less apt to hire professional help because there are use chemical aids available that require much less work. It's not going to put me or you out of a job because there are going to be still people that want our help and they want our support because they need the accountability and they recognize that, but it's going to be a smaller and smaller percentage every year. So as long as we can stand the test of time and be available to those people when they're ready, then we'll provide a positive benefit.
Yeah. All right, we will keep going. We've done this for many years now, and we're still trying to champion doing the right thing, whatever the fuck that is.
Doing something.
Yeah, at least doing something for the ripple effect for our community. I have to just jest about when, you say about obviously schools and hospitals and stuff. When someone comes to me with a BMI, I'm like, BMI? Is that still a fucking thing?
Yeah, unfortunately it is because it's how people qualify for fucking GLP-1s in our country,
Yeah.
which technically speaking, I could qualify for a GLP-1.
Ooh.
I would. My insurance would cover it.
Is this because of muscle mass as well, though? Because
Because my
BMI
my BMI is north of 30.
is for BMI. I'm like, look, this is something
I'm obese.
we don't need to think about BMI right now. It doesn't take into account fuck all. But it helps doctors communicate. This is how I frame it. Doctors can communicate with you that actually you need to look at losing weight because they can go, this says you're obese.
Or they can look at a picture of you or use their two eyeballs, which is that's how I do it. I don't use calculators for figuring out people's calories. Have them send me their weight and I have them send me a picture of themselves and I'll tell you exactly what you need. Like I don't need a BMI scale, I don't need a DEXA scan, I don't need a body fat percentage. I just need a picture showing me your body composition and I'll come within 100 calories accurately every single time.
I love how you said that because it's like our matrix brain of intuition as a coach. Like you just have, it's like that's the amount of I get that, and I'm like, what's happened to me? Like you just know. It's
Yeah,
fucking
you just know.
fucking
You
cool.
just know, yeah.
I found a fellow weirdo.
Yeah, well, there's
You.
not many of us, but
Thank you for coming on today, of course, and I will put your Instagram in the description. If you don't want to see any more bullshit coming through your feed, unfollow everyone and just follow Aram. Why the fuck
yeah.
not?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time as always.
Yeah, thank you, my G, and I'll speak to you soon.
Take
Bye.
care.